So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how exactly to get closure when a relationship ends badly, and especially if that person really isn't available to you to give you that closure that you might need. So we're going to cover a few crucial steps. There's going to be four major things. We may have a bonus fifth kind of emergency step if you're really struggling at the end. So first and foremost, it can be really tough to go through a bad breakup. It can be really difficult as well, knowing that in the midst of that bad breakup, you may not even have access to healing with that person or gaining closure that you're really looking for. But what we have to understand about breaking up is that when we break up with somebody, what we're so drawn to or what we're missing so much about them is not their physical form. It's not their physical body. And this is kind of like a tricky example, but if you look at it this way, if somebody, God forbid, passes away in your family, right? You don't miss their physical body. You miss a few other really crucial things. You miss the needs they brought into your life and the traits they brought out in you. So when we get really close to people, and these really create the first two steps, there's two other really important steps after this, but when we are trying to grieve somebody, sometimes we get this kind of idea of like, I don't know what it is that I'm grieving. I just miss the person so much. I yearn for them. I just want to be close to them and around them. And physical touch or physical affection can be one of the needs that somebody met for you. But there's other ways to get physical touch and physical affection, right? You can do many things. So we'll get there in just a second. But when you look, you want to get really clear first about what you're actually grieving. The person just represents like the physical form of the needs, of the traits. And when you can learn to meet your own needs in healthy ways and learn to get your needs met from other people in healthy ways, these are our first two steps to gaining closure. So think of it this way. When we grieve somebody, when we miss them, there's like a void in our subconscious mind because we were really used to getting our needs met from this particular person. And it was a really easy way, right? We could go there, we could count on the fact that we were going to get our needs met from this person, at least hopefully a lot of the time. But when we end a relationship with them, there's this void. Our subconscious says, well, these needs are not being met and we don't have another way of getting them. When you hear the idea that time heals all wounds, it's not time. Time is neutral. If you just spend all this time obsessing over somebody and not getting over them, that time would be used in a way against yourself, right? It's that within time, within the context of time, our subconscious mind is very good at adapting. So it's good at getting our needs met in new ways. But you can fast track the process and kind of hack the system of your subconscious mind by realizing that that's what your subconscious is doing in time. And you can leverage that to be like, okay, I'm going to just be intentional right out of the gates, use my conscious mind to pair up with my subconscious mind, consciously and logically evaluate all the needs that person was meeting, and then learn to meet these new needs in new ways within the relationship to myself, as well as express these needs to other people in my life. So those are steps 1 and 2. What are the needs? How can you meet them with yourself and somebody else or other people in your life? You see that this naturally kind of happens. Like, let's say you go through a breakup. Sometimes people watch a whole bunch of romantic comedy movies, and sometimes people can get their needs met for connection through food, because our first experience of feeling connected is our mother's breast milk when we're breastfeeding. And we produce a ton of oxytocin during that experience. Oxytocin is the bonding neurochemical. So food for people definitely represents a sense of comfort, safety, emotional connection. And sometimes people will eat a whole bunch of junk food, watch romantic comedy movies or romantic movies in general. Sometimes people will go spend a lot of time with friends and family, right? So naturally our subconscious is drawing us into these things as new quick ways of getting our needs met. But we want to be intentional about it. We don't want to just like watch a movie when that's not helping us. We want to nourish our friendships. We want to nourish what feels missing in the relationship to ourselves. We want to connect to our feelings, maybe somatically process them, maybe journal about them, maybe do some personal growth work, so that we're connecting to ourselves, healing ourselves, growing with ourselves, reaching out to others in healthy ways, asking for what we need really clearly and specifically. So you want to start by getting really clear. Sometimes old relationships meet the needs for validation, encouragement, feeling seen, heard, understood, protected, physical affection, intimacy, Sometimes when there's like the romantic piece you're missing, it's because you feel special or important or wanted. So you want to make a list of these things, come up with new ways of getting these needs met. Sometimes it's just mirroring these things back to us. So, for example, physical affection. Sometimes it's just putting on PJs, lighting candles, wrapping yourself in blankets, right, and just hanging out with yourself. And sometimes it just simulates to your subconscious mind what physical affection brings, which is that sense of comfort and safety, which you can simulate for yourself that way. Sometimes it's hugging your friends more. Sometimes it's being around family and hugging your family more often, but it's all the little things that you're trying to use collaboratively to fill that void that wasn't there from your needs. That void starts, filling up, and your healing starts happening faster and faster. You can move on more quickly. So that's really steps 1 and 2. Step 3, what was the set of traits that the person brought out in you or brought into your life? Was it humor? Was it protectiveness? Was it supportiveness? Was it that they were really good at empathizing with you? So it kind of goes hand in hand with needs, but it's just slightly different because it's usually somebody expressing specific traits. And again, we have a void where those traits were left, right? Maybe nobody's there to make you laugh. And maybe that was really the thing that your partner did. So how can you know, maybe go to improv classes or maybe go to comedy shows or watch funny videos or little things, everything will count. Like everything that you do to heal the void will fast track your process of closure and healing because you're gaining that closure within yourself if you can't get it from that person. So those are the first like 3 major things to really look at. Now, there's a whole course about this. It's called How to Heal from a Breakup. It gives you the list of needs, the list of traits, the things that most commonly are there. I gave you a few examples, but if you want to do a deep dive and get that healing faster, then you can check that out for free for 7 days down below. It's more than enough time to get through that course. And you'll be able to check out all of those courses with the all access pass that is for free for 7 days down below. But that's going to be the one to start with. Okay. And it covers a lot of this stuff in a lot more detail so you can deeply understand it. There's workbook exercises, everything's laid out for you. So you can just fast track the process. Number 3, we don't just miss the needs and the traits, but we often get into a position where we tell a lot of stories. These things can keep us stuck and chained to the past in a really painful way. So we have to assess those stories. A lot of those stories can be things like, I wasn't good enough. It was all my fault. And a lot of these stories are not grounded in reality, but grounded in our core wounds from past experiences, AKA painful beliefs we've acquired about ourselves, often from childhood. And so what we have to be able to do is go in there, find those core wounds or stories we're telling ourselves, and we really want to use a tool called auto-suggestion that's going to help us get out of there. It's going to help us move the needle and really question these things. I see, for example, a lot of anxious preoccupied say, oh, I wasn't good enough. But the reality is, or it was all my fault. The reality is it always takes 2 people in a relationship to have things break down. And the reality with not being good enough, there's no such thing as not good enough for each other. These are concepts we get conditioned with based on what we tend to value because we get conditioned to see these things in society. Not good enough is meaning you give to yourself about a relationship when the reality is that people don't end up lasting in relationships because they're actually not compatible, meaning they're not able to meet each other's needs because they have different needs or different values or different intentions, and they're either not good at communicating them to each other or don't know how, or they're afraid to work through those things and do the work to heal the differences, or they don't want to do that work. And so they have needs incompatibility at a subconscious level. And that's what causes people to break up. So it's not that one person isn't good enough, it's that there's needs not being met that aren't being reconciled that tends to be a major factor. I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's one of the big things. So we get all these ideas in our head around a breakup or ending of a relationship, and there's always so much more to it. Again, that course will help you really question those needs and move through those processes and pieces so that you come out on the other side. You're not telling yourself all these stories. So you really need to write out those stories, really question them. Is there proof of otherwise here available to me? What is it besides me not being good enough that could have actually been the reason we broke up? What is it besides me, it being all my fault, that's the reason that we could have broken up? Is there something that was the other person's fault? What was their side of it? What did they do that didn't help the relationship? And so as you find the pieces of evidence, you'll start equilibrating and it will bring you relief each time. Okay, so this is really important. Then number 5, if you're really stuck, here's what you do next. You look at writing out all the costs of staying in that relationship when it wasn't working. Okay. What would it look like in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years if you kept staying with this person, even though the relationship was not working? And what are the benefits of the breakup? Now, it's hard to look when we're in the midst of things, but if we're willing to look at what were the benefits of not being with this person, maybe I'm letting go of things that weren't serving me. Maybe I'm letting go of painful arguments we were having all the time. Maybe I'm letting go of feeling like I constantly have to walk on eggshells, or I can't trust the person, or that we just butt heads. Maybe I'm letting go of resentment that we were both feeling. So you want to look at what are the benefits, what are you letting go of, and also what can you look forward to starting a new chapter. And it gets our mind out of getting stuck in the past, and it moves our mind into being focused on the future. And that's where we need our focus to be. It's a part of the closure process. So if you go in there, you heal the void of the needs, okay, in relationship to self, but also in relationship to others, the void of the traits. Then you change the story you have. You rewrite these stories that you're telling yourself that are keeping you stuck in this invisible prison of being chained to somebody who it's not working out with. And then you go in and you look at reorienting your costs and benefits and the way that you perceive things. Doing that cost benefit work along with everything else will go an extremely, extremely long way. So those are 5 major tools that will really help you to get closure when a relationship ends badly and they're not dependent on the other person. So I hope this makes sense. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so, so much for watching. Please let me know any other questions you have in the comments down below. And if you're enjoying this channel, please like the channel or the video, or subscribe to the channel. Join me in here. We've got an amazing community, and I put daily videos out, so you can hit the notification bell and not miss any of the days. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon.